the past 2 nights, our 11 Investigates team has looked back on the 2004 murder of John Riebe.
Yeah, for some of us, it's hard to remember what we did last week. But for the family and friends caught up in this tragic situation, the memories of that December day, they are crystal clear nearly 20 years later.
Lead investigator Brian Duggar tells us their story and why they believe Eric Babis has been wrongfully convicted of the killing.
Pretty happy kid. You know, he had his brother, he had the neighbors down the road. Did the usual things, rode their bikes, played sandlot ball, and just did things that I would expect kids to do.
I heard that they're accusing my brother of killing John, which once I found out it was John, I knew he would never do that to John, let alone anybody else, especially John, because they had a rapport. He was part of the family. So that picture must have been like a school picture, because there's your dad again.
It messed my life up. I just need to take a minute. Well, for one, not having a father figure in my life, you know, I wasn't on the right path. I didn't have nobody to put me on the right path.
That's 78. We went to Catholic grade school.
I believe Eric Babis is innocent, and I think about him all the time. It's sad to say, probably the biggest failure of my criminal practice.
Did you kill John Riebe?
I did not kill John Riebe. Had nothing to do with his murder.
Were you with anybody inside the house that day that killed John?
I was not inside his house that day at all.
When John Riebe was murdered on December 15, 2004,
we, the jury, find the defendant, Eric Babos, guilty of murder.
And Eric Babos later convicted in the early hours of August 5, 2005, lives were destroyed, memories frozen in time.
I got the call at my house, woke up out of bed, and I can remember that. And my dad, with a shaky voice, said, "They convicted him." I said, "You gotta be kidding me."
Lisa, hurry up. Call me back, man. I got somebody here waiting for this money.
Prosecutors believe that somebody was Babos, holding a gun on Riebe. Minutes later, they say he killed his longtime friend. A defense team investigator believed differently.
The calls to his ex-wife Lisa saying, "Hey, I got somebody here, you know, who wants money." But never said, "Hey, Eric's here to get money." Remember, Eric was in her wedding. She knew Eric very well.
Babis helped Riebe with heating and air conditioning projects. His supporters say at the time of the killing, he was 3.8 miles away, remodeling his brother's house after determining that morning that John didn't want to work.
Well, I called him up in the morning. He said, "Oh, I could tell he was sounding a little funny. I knew he was high. I mean, I'll just say it, he was high." But he's like, "Call me in an hour and we'll see what's going on then." So I called him back and he said, "We're not working today."
An autopsy indicated there was alcohol and cocaine in Riebe's system. Phone records show Babis called John in the morning at 6:51 and 8:31. He then called his father at 8:39.
I went and picked up Eric at 10:45. We stopped at Speedway down the corner of Door and Reynolds, and he got a coffee. And I dropped him off the house about 11. And we went in and I went through some of the stuff that he needed to do.
And then he called me for a ride after I got off of work that day. So he was over there working all day.
That pickup happened around 4:30. Now, phone records show Greg called him at 4:24. A bank photo and store surveillance capture the men minutes later.
And he came in and seen what I did, and yeah, that was our plan, was to go buy a Christmas tree, and we picked up my niece and dropped her off too. Stopped at the bank. He asked me if I needed money, I was like, no, I don't need any money, I have money.
Now, police believe Babos was at his brother's and then took a bicycle from the garage and rode to Riebe's. Detectives spotted bikes by looking through a window, according to court testimony.
They seen a pile of bikes sitting in the garage, my nephew's bikes, little BMX bikes from when he was a kid. None of them had tires, chains, they were in a pile. Their theory is that I went and I rode a BMX bike 5 miles in the middle of winter.
And they even came over and checked. He had 2 flat tires. You know, it was unrideable. You're talking, what, this is in December, so he, you know, they theorized that he would ride that bike all the way from Westacre to John's house, which is insane.
It just, you know, well, the way things
In more
have
than a
gone,
dozen interviews, no one we spoke with ever saw Babos shoot or own a gun.
The thing about any time the police arrest you, you are assumed guilty by the general public. And what you are guilty till you prove yourself innocent, and that is the way the system works. If anybody tells you you're innocent till you're proven guilty, that is either a lie or a fool that's talking to you.
But tomorrow night, phone calls and conversations cast doubt on Babos's conviction.
He was like, your dad did not do it. He was like, I was there. I was at the crime scene.
Now that you've met the players involved in this story, we will reveal our investigation and why what the police said happened may not be the case at all. Brian will have that story tomorrow night. Follow along and read more in-depth coverage at WTOL.com.